Welcome to Getting Real. I am your host, Monique Hom, and on today's episode of Getting Real, we're going to talk about how you get started in real estate investing. This is one of the most common questions that I get. How do I get started? What do I need to do? What are my first steps? And we're going to talk about that today because a lot of times people are like, they just think they need the wrong things. So one of the common myths is they think they need a realtor's license. They need to be an agent. And you do not need to be an agent to be a real estate investor. I recently got my realtor's license mostly so I could give referrals, but I'd been an investor for 18 years before I became a realtor. You do not need to be a realtor in order to get started investing, but a lot of people think that. And another common mistake is they think, "Oh my gosh, I need to get an entity set up. I need to do an LLC. That's the first thing I have to do." And that is not the first thing you need to do. So, those are some of the common misconceptions that I have, but I'm going to share today what I believe you really need to have in place in order to get started. And because real estate investing is not one size fits all, as you go through this process, the answers are going to be unique to you. And that's going to guide what the next steps are. And in part, because it's not one size fits all and there is a unique path, this is why you have to ask these particular questions and look at your situation in order to find the right way for you to invest in real estate. So, what's the first step? When people ask me, what do I need to do to get started in real estate? My first question is, what are your goals when it comes to real estate? It's really important to have clear investment goals because where you're going, your end result will determine the right path for you. And I often liken it to going on vacation, right? So a lot of people they said, "Oh, I'm going to go on a vacation, and I need to figure out what's my next step. What's my first step that I need to take in order to get ready for this vacation?" And my question will be, where are you going? Because if your vacation is in the next town over, or your vacation is in Antarctica, or if your vacation is clear across the country or in a different continent, you're going to have some different first steps, right? And the next question will be, well, how do you want to travel? Well, before we get into the how, let's talk about what some of the goals might look like when we're talking about real estate investing. What are the end goals? And the goals might be, and when we're talking about end goals, they could be shorter term versus longer term, right? So in the shorter term, within the next year to 5 years, and then where do you want to be in 10, 20 plus years, right? So if you're talking about goals, maybe you have a goal to end goal to be able to retire yourself from your job, to replace your working income with passive income streams. So you no longer have to trade your time for money. That's a great goal. A lot of people hate what they do, but maybe you love what you do. That's not your goal. Maybe your goal is to use real estate investing to help minimize your taxes. A lot of people don't realize that real estate is really great for taxes, very tax beneficial. You can be making money with real estate, but for tax purposes, it looks like you're losing money. So maybe you feel like you're paying too much in taxes and you would like to use real estate to reduce your taxes. Maybe you would like to use real estate to help you be ready for retirement. And it's not that you need the money right now, um, or even the tax benefits, but you want to have the real estate be there for you in 20, 30 years. And you might be using your retirement accounts to invest in real estate because you'd like to accelerate or accelerate the growth of your portfolio or diversify your portfolio so that you are set up long term. Maybe your goal is to leave a legacy for your kids or grandkids or great grandkids or for your community. You want to be able to start a scholarship or donate a building to your alma mater, uh, something like that, right? So, depending on what your goals are, and it could definitely be a combination of these, though, um, it's going to determine what you do. So, if you are using your if it's about retirement and you're using your retirement account, it's not going to give you cash flow now that will help you get out of a job you don't like or allow you to retire early. That's a different, you'll be using different vehicles for that. If you're wanting to have cash flow now and large chunks of cash flow, you might be using strategies that give you a lot of income, but maybe aren't as tax beneficial. So depending on what your whys are, what your end goal is, that's going to determine some of your next steps. The other part of having that goal, and going back to the vacation metaphor, right? If you're trying to you're going on vacation, then we want to know, how do you want to, what kind of vacation do you want? How do you want to travel there? Is it a road trip? Are we going on a cruise ship? Are we flying? Is it hiking, biking? What are we doing? How do you want to play? How do you want to get there? With real estate, there are a lot of different strategies. Some of them, you're taking an ugly duckling building and you're renovating it. I love doing that, but some people hate having to do that. They'd rather want to gouge their eyes out than pick paint colors. Other people, they just love the numbers. They want to get into the numbers and they love that due diligence and they want to do that. Other people love people. They want to deal with tenants. Other people never, ever want to deal with tenants. And there are ways of investing that will allow you to do or not do any of those things. There are a lot of different ways. So I have a guide that I give. It's on my website, reigoddesses.com, investing from $1 to $1 million. In that, I share 12 strategies that are for very low price point entry points, for at different amounts of time, and for where you don't have to deal with tenants, toilets, and termites. So there are a lot of different ways of investing in real estate. How do you want to play? How do you want to travel this road? And depending on that strategy of where you're going and what you want to be doing as you're getting there, that's going to determine the next step. So getting clear on your short-term, long-term goals, your financial goals, and also your personal development goals, right? Who do you, I think it's Jim Rohn who said that your goal is partly for what you're going to get, but the biggest part of that goal is who you get to become on the way to that goal, right? So who do you get to become to have a 7-figure net worth? Who do you get to become in order to, have to be a mogul to this portfolio, to leave generational wealth for your family? Like, who is that person that you get to grow into? And how do you get to develop into that? Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? And how can real estate help you get there? So having those goals, not just in terms of what you get, but who you get to be, is really important. So that's the first step. Define your goals. And then it's helpful to, once you have your goal, make them SMART. So, which is specific, measurable, instead of achievable. So normally SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. I say specific, like it's, what it is, you can track it, you can measure it, measurable. And then I say aligned, like it's in alignment with what you want and how you want to be. So it's aligned. And then the R, it's racy. So I think anything is achievable. If you can see it, if anyone in the world, if you can imagine it, it is possible. So achievable, I don't talk about, but racy. Does it excite you? Does it make your heart race? That's a good goal. And then time bound. So what's the timing for this? Is it something you want to do in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? So what are your goals? Make them SMART. Then once you know where you're going and how you want to get there, you want to start with figuring out where you are. Where you are. I heard this quote, a map is no good if you don't know where you are or where you're going. So first we define where we're going. Now we want to look at where are we? Where are we starting with? What are our current resources that we have available to us? Because real estate investing does require resources. It requires 5 main resources. And I'll go through those in a second. Now, you might be thinking, and a lot of people do, and they get in and they're like, oh no, I don't have enough of this resource, they think, to be successful. I don't have enough money to get in the game. I don't have enough time. I don't have the relation. So the resources are money, time, relationships, education, and experience. So a lot of times you'll come in and go, oh, I don't have enough money, time. I don't know people. I don't have the education. I don't have the experience. I can't get in the game. Well, when you inventory, you might realize that you have more than you thought. But even if you don't have much, you can always partner with people who do. So this stage of this step of figuring out what your resources are is the step, you figure out where you are, where you're going, and then we can help you bridge that gap. How do we bridge that gap? All right, that's next. But we start with where are we? What of the resources we need do we have? So with the money piece, we're going to start, you want to start with looking at where are you right now? What are your resources currently available to you? And I want to share a tool that I recently made. And this is the first time I'm talking about it. So you guys are the first to know. I'm going to put it in the chat. You can access this, I call it my $1 million net worth activation snapshot. And then and then I created an AI tool to help you with that. So it's you need ChatGPT, but with a free chat account, you can go in, you can use this tool. So these 2 tools will help you figure out your net worth. Your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. It's just a snapshot today of where you are financially. And so it's helpful to see, okay, I have these particular resources, some of which will be liquid, easier to access, some of which are not so liquid. But when you see that, you can know that you can tap into that. And not everyone realizes that some of your retirement account money can be used for real estate investing. If you put it in a self-directed IRA or 401k, a solo 401k, you can use that for your real estate investing. I remember when I first found that out, my mind was blown. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on all this money that I could be using for that. And then I started, and that's what I started to do. So I talked to a professional about that. There are limits to how you can use that money. So it's broad, and there's some really important limitations to that. And if that's something that you want to know more about, I will bring somebody on for one of these episodes and we can talk about it. But that is a resource that people have that they can potentially tap into for investing. But you want to look at what's your net worth in general, where are you? And even if you have a negative net worth, so some people owe more than they own. And especially if you have a lot of school loans and you don't own real estate yet, you might be negative. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get invested in real estate. Even if you have a negative net worth, you can get in the game. Where it gets tricky is when you're looking at your monthly income and outflow, if you have more month than money, that is a problem. Right? So investing will come from your excess, your overflows. You want to have some money at the end of the month. You don't want to be underwater at the end of the month and have a negative net worth. It's not that you can't get into investing eventually, but you got to fix that first. So there's some tools to get there. But even if you're owing some, if you can manage those obligations every month and you have some left over, then you can start investing. So you want to just get a sense of where you are financially. And again, even if you are in that more money than month situation, there are certain ways of investing in real estate that require very little money. And again, that the $1 to $1 million guide that I have on my website, reigoddesses.com, does share several strategies that are very low to no money that you can tap into to get in the game. So even then, there are ways to get started, but it's definitely easier if you have your funds under control and you are living on less than you are making. If that's your situation, that's the best place to be. And if you have a nest egg set aside for investing, that's the best. But it's often less than you think you need. Okay, so that's the financial. On the time side, the next resource, time. You want to evaluate the time that you have available that you can dedicate to real estate investing. It does require some time, right? There's some time to educate yourself. There's some time to network and meet people and build your team and research and do due diligence and find properties. So it requires some time. You want to find out what time you have available that you can dedicate to this. But like any of the other resources, you can tap into OPM, other people's money, to get into real estate, but you can also tap into OPT, other people's time, to get into real estate investing. There are certain investments that are very passive. You just have to take the time to evaluate the deal, see if it works for you. You can invest and wait for your money to come back with friends. So those passive ones are very low time. But maybe you have a lot of time not as much of the other resources, that's great. If you have more of the other resources, but very little time, you still can get in the game. But you want to just get a sense of how much time can you actually dedicate to this process. You want to assess your current commitments, your time availability, plan a schedule that will allow you to have time to get educated, to network, depending on how you want to do it, to do property management, etc. The third resource is relationships. So you want to be able to leverage your existing network and then also your opportunity to build new connections. So in this first step, we're figuring out who do we currently know. So just make a list of all the people you know, all the networks you're connected to. So it might be, I have my alumni networks. I have a network of people at church. I have an alumni of people. I have a network of people through the local real estate investor association that I go to. I have this network or that network. And then these people, I know this person, that person that's doing real estate, this person that's an agent, this person that does insurance, this person, right? So just start to identify your network. You want to identify who might be on the team, right? Relationship is a team sport. So potential agents, contractors, CPAs, insurance, other professionals. Identify potential mentors, and hey, we have a mentorship program. So if you're interested, reach out. Partners, team members, and then you can identify 2 opportunities to grow your network. So what are real estate meetups that you could attend, seminars, online communities like our Real Estate Investor Goddesses community. So just start to figure out what are your relationships that you can easily tap into, the ones you know directly, but also the ones where you can go and find who you need. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is education. You want to invest in your real estate education, so that can be reading books, right? Maybe the Real Estate Investor Goddess Handbook or the Invest Like a Goddess book, or a couple books you could read. There are a bunch of other ones. There's so many different books, but read investing books, enroll in courses, seek knowledge, but also think about what knowledge you currently have. What are the books you've already read? What are the workshops and trainings you already have done? What's your education that you can currently tap into? And then as you're doing this, after we'll see where's the gap. But for now, what's your education that you can tap into already? And last but not least is experience. So you want to look at what is the experience that you have that you can tap into for your investing. Maybe you've done some investing before. What kind? Maybe just you bought your own house. Maybe you've done project management in a different context, not for maybe you're been good with bookkeeping or due diligence in other ways. Think about the type, negotiation skills, market analysis. What is the experience that you currently have that you can tap into and that will be of value for you and any potential partners, right? Because doing this assessment of figuring out how much money, time, the relationships, education experience you have, first of all, it's letting you know where are you in relationship to where you want to go. Then you can, as you know what you have and where you're going, you can see how you can bridge the gap. Who do you need, or what do you need to get you? What experience do you need to get or partner with? What education do you need? What relationships do you need? What time do you need? What money do you need? And who might be able, who not how, who might be able to connect you to that, right? But also, when you're thinking about your who's, right? You can be you're a who for them because maybe they need what you've got. They have money, you have time. So they don't have the time, you have the time. You can be valuable that way, or vice versa, where you have relationships and that's where you're providing value, or you have education and experience that you can bring to the table that they need, right? So part of this inventory process is figuring out what you've got, but also what you can give, because this is a team sport. So you're going to figure out what you need, but also what you have that others might need, so that you're creating a win-win. Okay. So those are kind of the major steps. And it's a fact finding. First, it's an inquiry process and a fact finding process. Let's set your goals, and you're going to take an inventory. And I'm going to just share some steps to get started. After you've done this, you want to research and education. So read some books, get it into a mentorship program, get some training. With your finances, you might want to look at what your credit score is. Maybe you need to take some steps to improve your credit score, to save for a down payment and have emergency funds, to explore financing options, get pre-qualified. Looking at the team you'll need, finding reliable team members. And then you can start, once you get into it and you figure out where you're going, what you have, then how to bridge the gap. And I hope you think of me and Real Estate Investor Goddesses as a resource to help you do that, because that is what I live for. So that's the main content I wanted to share. Before we go, we end the show with a brag, a gratitude, and a desire. So a brag, a recent success or achievement or celebration. I wrote it down and I forgot to really think about this. So what am I bragging? I brag. I brag. See, there's one thing I can't publicly brag about yet. It's something, well, I'll brag about it as a little obliquely, but as clear as I can. I set a big goal at the beginning of the year for a type of properties that I want to buy, and we're getting really close to being under contract for something, and it's so exciting. So I can't wait until I can share all the news, but it is really awesome. And I hope that someday soon I can invite you there. So that's all I'll say, but I brag progress with that. And I'm really grateful for all the partners that I have, all the people that bridge the gap for me. The people that are money partners and who contribute their time and experience and education and just and those relationships. So I'm really grateful for each of the people that I'm so blessed to work with. And I desire that more of you get started. I desire that more and more and more of you get in this game, because I truly believe that real estate is one of the best ways to have financial security and to build wealth. And that is my desire for you. So, thank you for joining me today. And again, just remember the importance of having clarity around what you have and where you're going. Then you can look at the map and get there. So I'm really excited that you've been here, and so I thank you for getting real with me today. Let's get real and stay real. Bye bye.